Hello everyone, and welcome back to TechBlog 66, your destination for deep dive movie reviews, cinematic history, and storytelling breakdowns. Today I will be exploring a powerful, visually stunning, emotionally moving film from 1986 titled The Mission. This movie is a remarkable blend of historical drama, spiritual conflict, political tension, and human transformation. Directed by Roland Joffé, the film has long been admired for its breathtaking cinematography, its haunting score by Ennio Morricone, and its unforgettable performances by Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons. So settle in as we explore what makes The Mission such a compelling and timeless cinematic experience. The story of The Mission takes place in the 18th century in the South American region known as the Jesuit missions. At the heart of the film is a struggle involving the colonial powers of Spain and Portugal, the Catholic Church, and the native Guaraní people who inhabit the forests and waterfalls of the region. The movie begins with a tragic yet symbolic act, a Jesuit missionary tied to a wooden cross, sent drifting down a river toward an enormous waterfall. This opening immediately communicates that what we are about to see is not just a historical narrative but a moral and spiritual conflict between colonial ambition and human dignity. The central characters include Father Gabriel, played with gentle strength by Jeremy Irons, and Mendoza, portrayed by Robert De Niro, who delivers one of the most layered performances of his career. Father Gabriel is a peaceful Jesuit priest committed to bringing hope and education to the Guaraní people. Mendoza, on the other hand, begins the story as a violent mercenary and slave trader. After a tragic personal event and a resulting emotional collapse, Mendoza seeks redemption by joining Father Gabriel on his mission. What follows is a profound exploration of transformation, forgiveness, and the possibility of moral rebirth. One of the most iconic sequences in the film is Mendoza's act of penance. He carries a heavy bundle containing his weapons and armor up steep mountain paths, through dense jungle, and across rivers, symbolizing his burden of guilt. When the Guaraní people themselves cut the rope and release the burden, it becomes one of the most powerful symbolic moments in cinema. It demonstrates forgiveness not as something granted by institutions, but as something offered by the people Mendoza once harmed. This moment is incredibly emotional and shows how effectively the film conveys the themes of redemption and compassion without excessive dialogue. Another major highlight of The Mission is the cinematography, which captures some of the most stunning natural landscapes ever put on film. The Iguazu Falls region provides a majestic backdrop, with wide sweeping shots of towering waterfalls, lush green forests, and rivers that reflect the power and beauty of nature. The visual grandeur enhances the story's spiritual dimension, giving viewers an almost meditative experience. Equally unforgettable is the musical score by the legendary Ennio Morricone. His composition blends European classical elements with indigenous instruments and rhythms, creating a sound that feels both heavenly and grounded. The theme, Gabriel's Oboe, is one of the most recognizable pieces in film music history. It represents peace, fragility, and spiritual dedication. Meanwhile, the broader orchestral arrangements heighten the emotion of the story's tragic climax. As the film progresses, the political conflict intensifies. European powers argue over control of the mission territories. The Jesuits want to protect the Guaraní communities, but the colonial governments see economic opportunity rather than human lives. This leads to heartbreaking decisions and devastating consequences. What makes The Mission unique is that it avoids simplifying the issues. It does not portray one group as purely good or evil, instead, it shows the complexity of moral, political, and spiritual struggles. Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons both shine in their roles because their characters represent two contrasting responses to injustice. Father Gabriel chooses nonviolence and faith, believing deeply in the power of peace and persuasion. Mendoza, although transformed, believes that force is necessary to defend the innocent. Their choices ultimately lead to a dramatically layered and emotionally impactful climax. The conclusion is powerful, tragic, and deeply reflective. It leaves audiences thinking about morality, faith, colonization, and the value of human life. The supporting cast also delivers strong performances, including Ray McAnally as the cardinal who must decide the fate of the mission, and Liam Neeson in an early role as a fellow Jesuit. Their presence adds depth to the political and religious sides of the story. One of the reasons this movie continues to be discussed decades after its release is its emotional resonance. It challenges viewers to consider what they would do when faced with moral conflict. Would you choose peaceful resistance or armed defense? Would you compromise to survive or stand firm for principles even at great cost? The Mission raises these questions without preaching, instead allowing the story and performances to speak for themselves. Another important aspect is how the film humanizes the Guaraní people. They are not simply depicted as victims, but as individuals with culture, dignity, and agency. Their connection to nature, their community values, and their trust in the Jesuit priests make them central figures in the story. In summary, The Mission is a visually stunning, emotionally profound, and intellectually challenging film that blends spirituality, history, and human drama in a powerful way. It features unforgettable performances, breathtaking landscapes, and one of the greatest musical scores of all time. If you appreciate cinematic art that goes beyond entertainment and offers deeper reflection, this movie is definitely worth watching and revisiting. This movie is available on YouTube free.